It's a time for more packages from China. Let's go. Build this thing inside an arcade machine, unplug and play, let's say Pandora's box. I'm just going to be using, or at least I'm going to be trying to use this with a normal controller to see at least that we can use it as a game box itself and see what are we getting. So when everything is plugged in, the HDMI and the power adapter, we can just turn it on fairly easy. I didn't connect the controller yet, I just wanted to boot it up and see what is going on, if you're having any fancy intro or just going to be automatically getting into the main menu. Ah, we do have like a very fancy menu. That sounds kind of cool, absolutely. Okay, 100% about to start. That is the next screen we're getting over there. But let's see what the name says, because this was the obvious that says Pandora SEX2. Wait, what the heck? So this is clearly not a Pandora tent, and I was really disappointed like many other people, I'm guessing, because they sold a couple of them. Oh man, such a big disappointment. Let's plug it in, let's see which controller can be used. Let's plug it in. It does actually showcase controller number 1. And yeah, we can actually navigate, but it does some really weird automatic stuff. Oh man, is it going to be that kind of shenanigans? Let's plug it into the other port. Not going to be any better. So let's see what's going on over here. It shows now player 2. Okay, so let's see if we can even go to the menu itself. Nope, that doesn't work at all. It's completely messing up my box. The reason didn't do anything, but let's see. So actually when plugging in the fake controller Xbox 360 from AliExpress, that seems to be working well. Okay, so that's kind of funny. Okay, but let's take a close look at the menu itself. What can we do and how does this freaking thing work? So we're having all games, types, latest and search. So pressing start doesn't do anything at this point. We do have the, oh no, sorry, I'm saying it wrong. It does do that does do something. It actually shows over here going back to menu. That's something we have seen with the first generation of Pandora's Key 7.2. But let's say we're going to be searching for a Sonic game. And let's see how accurate this is. Okay, so press start, that doesn't do anything. It just automatically brings you back. So yeah, when it comes to that, it's kind of interesting that it does try to search, but doesn't do anything at all. Okay, it's kind of interesting because we need to press C to switch. Okay, but doesn't see anything going on. Oh, there we're having Sonic over there, Sonic and Knuckles. So the naming is completely wrong, but you can see we're having all kinds of different games. Also having some Sega Genesis on here. So let's just quickly boot something up. Let's see how fast it works. We'll also implement all kinds of features. And let's see what is in here. It does have this weird blurry filter over it, so that's one thing I can say. Well, when it comes to playing the games, everything seems to be working fine. I was just actually pressing the wrong button here. But so far, so good. Okay, the sound effects are here. So when it comes to the overall emulation of Sega Genesis, that seems to be working fine. Okay, so pressing the home button that has been mapped to there, so we can just press A, B, X and Y, but I'm guessing this is save, load, and this is exit? Yeah, okay. So there is some menu, but there is no aspect ratio. But let's take a close look at the menu itself. So pressing start, I already mentioned you're going to be into the top section over here. It's kind of messy because if you're going to be into the search bar, you need to get out of the search bar with a different button. It's absolutely a mess. But what I do like is pressing start will bring you back to the main menu. So having all games is this one massive list. I think they stated like 40,000 video games on this box, but are actually like 8,879, so that's not a lie. But how does the types work? So going to the type, so over here we having to the right having the N64 PlayStation Portable, and this is the PlayStation 1. We having a Dreamcast emulator implemented with the Reincast Mega Drive. What kind of naming? Wow, they completely messed up the naming with only having Mega Drive 0. Oh, there we go. But next up, we're having some MAME, Final Burn Alpha, And here the Famicom, Game Boy Advance, PC Engine, and wow, look at this list. Whoa, this is one mess. There is no video, no picture, nothing. Oh, this is one hot mess, you know, this is absolutely horrible. Super Famicom, the same shenanigans, but not that crazy. But what is kind of interesting, we're going to be looking at the alphabetic order. What happened to that, you know? It's kind of weird. And then we have the favorite. That's it, that's the only thing. But let's get into some stuff. Let's start off with some gaming and let's see what we can actually do, how it is with the overall emulation performance. Mupen 64 Plus is actually running on the background. It actually showed that it automatically gets into the title, so you don't need to get all of the annoying stuff going on. I mean, particularly when it comes to that, you know, intros that take forever in Mortal Kombat 4. Let's see, let's get into the menu. Okay. So far, everything seems to be configured correctly. Also the A and B button and everything else. Da-da-da, da-da-da. But so when it comes to emulation performance, okay. You have the idea there were some graphical glitches, but maybe that's me. Let's get into the game. So it seems to be in a couple of these games, seems to be working just normally. Did they mess it up when it comes to the spear or something? Did they change that up? Oh no. But so far, it's quite responsive when it comes to, let's say, the controller part. Here we go. Ultimate cheesy mode. But that's it, work fine. Pressing select start will give you the same menu like before. Going exit. And then we're going to be back into the main menu where we can choose different games. So let's bust a move 99. Adding new games is highly unlikely because this is mainly a problem with these things. And even having the option is going to be absolutely a nightmare sometimes. Okay, so also this is going to be booting up into the menu instantly. I like that. But so far I only tested a couple of games because not all of them are implemented on the box. And yeah, I can just say that most of these, let's say, devices will have problems when it comes to N64. But so far a couple of them we tried out, seems to be working just fine. So let's see what's going on with this. Can we actually play it? I do find the gameplay kind of choppy. So when it comes to the animations and everything, and this is just a simple game, you can see that it stutters. And also an audio delay. Yeah, so this is absolutely unplayable. I really hate it. So you can see that this overall emulation performance... Oh, it just froze for a couple of seconds. So PlayStation Portable is an interesting, let's say, product, because when you're looking at PlayStation Portable, it's actually going to be a single player device, where some of the Pandora books had the option to do some like linking with software like Tekken 6. That was kind of cool, that we can actually play games together, but that's not possible with this particular version. So what I love about it so far is that we do have the option that automatically boots into like the main menu, not this character selection screen. Got a lot of stuttering. Let's see, we do have like the wiggling feet and all the other shenanigans that we have seen before. So far, this has no problem whatsoever when it comes to that. We have the stutter, like always. So, pressing select to start will give you actually nothing. Pressing the home button that does. But it's kind of interesting, there's no way of getting into the PPSP emulator so far. I've tried out. No shuttle buttons, everything has been locked out. Yeah, this not runs on the full speed. Most of the time they implement, let's say, frame skip. But so far, this seems to be kind of playable. So you have seen with Mortal Kombat 4 on the N64, but also with Puzzle Bobble. Some games run great, some have problems. But of course, Tekken is not like the most demanding game to actually be playing on this. But it's kind of cool to see that it is actually working with not a lot of glitches so far, I can see. But let's get into some other games. Virtual tennis, see how this actually works out. But so far this seems to be working fine. I'm guessing that the games they implemented, they tested it out for once. I normally don't really play tennis games, but this is really satisfying somehow. Come on! Oh! So moving to the PlayStation 1, and there is no PlayStation 2 compatibility. So far as making this video is no, let's say, any of these Pandora's boxes have that. However, let's get into this. Let's see how they installed the I think it's a rearmed emulator running on the background. Also this seems to be running fine. But I want to be clear that a lot of Pandora's boxes can actually play PlayStation 1 without any problem. I think from the Pandora's box 6 model, they actually like managed to fix most of this stuff. Oh, this goes great. Starting with some crazy text here of the Sega Dreamcast, you can see actually there are some weird lines going on at the back. That is not like it's supposed to be, that is one thing. But let's just boot it up into the game. Loading times. So far quite smooth when it comes to that. Okay. By the way, the background music has been muted by a duo of copyright music stuff they're using. The music of this game is absolutely amazing. Okay, let's see if I can actually find... Oh man, seriously. I put it on the right shoulder button. But also this seems to be working just fine. Works great with the controller. Very responsive. I don't notice any, let's say, audio delay or anything else. Also controller delay. Where are the brakes? Oh, there we go. But so far everything seems to be working fine. And that is absolutely one of those many things that I love to test out. With the simple reason we have seen a lot of bad emulation of Sega Dreamcast on these cheap game boxes. But I'm surprised how good actually this works. So let's try one of my favorite games, Blood Broth. This is such a cool game. Also using a very strange filter. I've played this so much in the arcade. It's so much fun to actually revisit this again. But so far I don't hear any problems with the audio itself, because that's one of those problems I've noticed throughout testing all of these emulator thingies going on. And here goes the ultimate test. And also this seems to be working just fine. So maybe emulation seems to be working as it's supposed to be. Just for a quick, let's do a little bit of testing with some Mortal Kombat. You can hear the audio is completely messed up with the crackling noise. So it's not perfect emulation, that's one thing to be sure. And also using the very strange filter that we cannot shut off. I'm guessing maybe in the main menu, or at least the settings menu, you can just maybe mess around with it. So let's do a quick round of some Neo Geo to see how that runs with the Neo Burn Alpha emulator. So far no problem whatsoever when it comes to that. But you really need to look into the search function if you want to search, actually want to find a game, because I've noticed is that when you're going to be looking into, let's say, Neo Geo, they have been split up into the main list and the Final Burn Alpha list. That's kind of weird. So you need to use the freaking search engine. I'm glad that seems to be working fine. I was looking into the Viewpoint game. But emulation of Neo Geo is not a problem at all. So even where this isn't a fake box or not the one that they promised us, this seems to be working just fine. So let's try to search a GBA game. Yeah, that is not going to be anything we're going to be trying out today, because this is just one massive list. Moving on to the PC Engine is the same shenanigans, but the Super Famicom seems to be having a normal list, so let's check it out. Oh man, they also did that here. Oh, what a mess this freaking box is in many different ways, that is one thing to be sure. But you can find the weirdest stuff when it comes to Super Famicom, with some battle soccer some kind. You know, they made the most craziest, like say, games when it comes to that. You can even do some freaking power moves. Oh, and they just gave the ball away. And they made a goal. Yeah, of course. So let's get into the setting by pressing this button over here. And here we're getting the similar stuff that we have seen before. So over here we're having the coin has been set to free because we're using this for free play. Auto exit had been disabled. Actually the auto exit, what it does is that as you're going to be putting it in demo mode or just leaving the game as it is, it will automatically go into the normal mode. However, we do have an option for picture enhancement, so it has been set to HD. That explains why everything looks kind of weird. So we have the CRT option with the scan lines and then the raw or the original. So language, game settings, and here we can change out all kinds of stuff. That's not really necessary. For example, timed game price, but that's not, of course, something we're going to be using now. But if you want to put this in an arcade machine, that is actually possible. Game market, that's one of those very strange things that they implemented in some of these boxes, but yeah, it doesn't really do anything when it comes to that. You cannot even log in, or it seems to be working now as it is, but this is kind of weird, a preview, because it isn't really connected to the Wi-Fi whatsoever. And within currency manager, and there's nothing much actually we can do. So that's kind of interesting, but kind of weird, because we have also I think there's not Ethernet. Yeah, we have the Ethernet port, but let's look it up if we can even connect that. But besides that, yeah, there were all kinds of weird things going on with this device, but let's open it up. Construction wise, this is a completely different box if you're going to be looking at the connections, but it's kind of interesting when you're looking at what you can do with this, because this is not like super bad, like the menu is a mess. This is nothing to be compared with a Pandora's box stand. This is just like one massive scam. I asked the sellers like, hey, are you trying to scam me, or is it just an honest mistake? But he didn't reply so far I have seen. Filed in a dispute and already got the return ticket. So we're going to be sending this thing back, or at least I think it's never going to be going back to AliExpress or something like that. I think it's going to be somewhere in the pile of junk. But in the end, let's take a close look at the inside. So when it comes to, let's say, the construction, this is interesting because this is just having a separate PCB. So how about the Ethernet? I don't know if you're going to be connected, if you're going to be having any communication going on. Maybe it's even disabled. And there is, so far I can see, no Wi-Fi. This thing has been glued on. In the past I tried to remove that. I was just ripping out the chip, everything. Like instant fatality mode. But beside that, there's in construction that we've seen before. So this is actually implemented extra with the simple reason so we can use the normal connection for the arcade board. So when it comes to this is interesting enough. It hosts actually like an encoder board, but also hosts the USB ports, because this part is actually just a typical Android box. So that's what they're doing, and I'm guessing it will contain something like an S905X or maybe a later rock chip version. But that's it. There's nothing much to see over here. And when it comes to SD cards, they're using these, like say, non-brand things, meaning if this gets corrupted, you can just all throw it away.